good friend of mine. He is a ECW original. His name is Angel. And I just want to say thank you for joining us.
Oh, no problem, man. I appreciate you having me on your show. This is the first video chat I ever done, so bear with me, this is the first time.
Not a problem. I understand. And now for people who want to know what uncensored is, uncensored is my way of showing people that even with a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there dealing with any type of disability, that you should never give up or have people label you, and you should prove to them you can still amount to something. And it's a half hour, 45 minutes of your time. You can curse if you want to. It's whatever you want to do. And starting off, what can you tell us about yourself?
About myself, to be honest, I'm 43 now. Just turned 43 in February. I'm still wrestling. I got a regular job. I got a wonderful family. Daughter. Just keeping busy. I'm doing judo now as a hobby because wrestling is not as constant, so I still have to be in there and compete. So I've been doing that for a while.
All right. Now, before you got into wrestling, the two questions: were you like a study nerd, or were you a party animal in college? And that's the first question. And the second question was, did you do any sports, and to the point you ever wanted to go pro, or you just wanted to do wrestling?
I was a party animal. I partied a lot. I wasn't a nerd. A nerd in wrestling, but not a nerd in at school. I was pretty savvy in the wrestling world. Who's the heels and the bad guys. I was pretty up to date on everything. So, me, I played a lot of sports. I played football. I wrestled, a little bit, but I was more focused on my football. I did some martial arts when I was a little bit younger than that, in more 14, 15, so I was always keeping active. And then, wrestling was my passion, so I fell into that, and, the Johnny Rods was the godsend that helped me get to that level.
All right. Now, you mentioned wrestling, and I know this sounds like an oxymoron, and it does because people always bring it up, like questions like this, but, just throwing it out there. Were you a big fan of Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage? And that's what I mean by oxymoron here, because every time you mention wrestling, they talk about Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. They never actually mentioned the good ones, like Bret Hart, Chris Candido, Chris Benoit. Did any of them influence you to become a wrestler, or who influenced you to get into that?
To be honest with you, what influenced me was, during the time of Clash of the Champions. It was more of the NWA. I liked Hogan. I liked, I didn't, Macho Man, yeah, but the more I watched, it was NWA because it was more realistic. WWF at the time was more superhero versus bad guy, cartoonish, compared to NWA, which more was like a serious soap opera with real storylines, so it's comparing and again, I'm not putting that in the same category, but I'm just putting in an example Inspector Gadget compared to Mission Impossible. Same thing, but you can see how it's serious, the old Mission Impossible, I'm saying, to Inspector Gadget, it's just same concept, but just, it was more realistic with the other one.
All right. Now, how did you ever meet Paul Heyman, and how did you join ECW? How did that come about?
Well, ECW occurred when, to be honest with you, it was at Gleason's Gym. It all started at Gleason's Gym in New York City, in Brooklyn. I was in the ring training, and one of my friends, who was known as Java Shabibi, Chris, he was in the ring, and he was telling me how he's been going down to Philly, because Devon, was from our school, and I knew Devon then, but he already got picked up for the Dudleys. So he went down there, and Devon was inviting him down there to try out as a referee. So he just kept going every weekend down to Philadelphia to ref for them. So one day, he was telling me he was going to go down there one weekend, and then, let's say it was a Monday, And then like he told me that story. And then Wednesday, Thursday, he was talking to me, and I said, hey, so Philly's coming up. You got this, going to Philly this week. I said, oh man, I don't know, man. My car's having problems. I don't know if I'll be able to go this weekend. Oh wow, that's messed up. And then I came up with the idea, like, hey, I could drive you if you want. I could take you down there. So he's like, well, let me talk to Devon first, because I don't want to just invite you, because that's not my place to invite somebody. It's like inviting somebody to a party. You were invited, but they asked you to bring your friends. So he called Devon. Devon said that was fine. Tell Angel to bring his stuff. And then, I drove down there with him. And then we got there, saw Devon. And then they were like, hey, they do these workouts in the ring. And so when I went through the curtain in the ECW arena, you could see everybody in the ring. Nova, Chetty, Dory, Guido, Tracy Smothers, Balls Mahoney. It was just everybody in the ring working out. So they always did this workout before the shows. So I go in there and I introduce myself, and then Tracy Smothers, they do all these stretching exercises. And then he was like, all right, we're going to have like a little 5-minute match, So he was doing matches with everybody. Then they came up to me. It was me versus Guido. We did, some high spots in the ring, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then after it was done, workout was over, I started headed to the back. And as I go through the curtain, Paul Heyman and was sitting at a table going over some matches with Sabu and RVD. So he looks up and hey, kid, come over here. And I went over there and I said, yes, sir. And he's like, hey, I really like what I saw out there. You really, I really like what I saw. Stick around. And I said, excuse me? And he goes, just stick around. And I nodded my head and went to Devon and I said, Devon, Paul came out of nowhere and said he saw my match. He said he liked what he saw, but he just told me to stick around. What does that mean? And he goes, oh, if Paul tells you to stick around, stick around. But I'm not an angel. If Paul tells you to stick around, stick around. And that's what happened. So I stuck around and that's what I got my spot.
Yeah, that's really cool. I never knew that. Now, I mentioned to you on text, but this is actually the first time we're talking face to face. I mentioned about I'm going to try to get Steve Carino on the show. I interviewed, so I think his name is Bay Uragri. His first name is Bay.
Where's he from?
New York.
Thanks, I'm sorry.
Well, he's from New York.
I'll probably see, if I see his face, maybe I'll know him. It's not ringing a bell.
I also interviewed, a couple days ago actually, I interviewed C.W. Anderson. I interviewed Lenny Pablo, Sonny Ono. But
so you did the video chat with C.W. Anderson?
Yep, I have to send you the link.
Oh, was his head able to fit the iPad?
A little bit, well, it's a little cut off.
Oh, okay. Just making sure. I love that guy. He's an awesome guy. He has some good stories.
But I was kind of disappointed, I asked Sonny Ono, if he could talk to Eric Bischoff, and I would love to have Eric Bischoff on the show, but he said he would only do it if he was getting paid, and Sabu said the same thing, and Devon, maybe you can put a good word in for Devon for me, but he told me he wouldn't do it, and I was like, okay, well, you guys know I'm doing a good thing, and doing a good mission, and making a difference, and all you guys who care about is money. Okay, I understand that you have to make a living and money's important when you have to pay the bills, but I'm like, at the same time doing something, I would like to be a little more, have them supporting me.
Well, it's understandable, but just like anything, you got to get your feet wet. So, you got to build up that following and stuff. Because, wrestlers are very protective, you can't do interviews for everybody because you don't know who they are. I know a lot of guys like Mike Johnson, great guy. If he calls me in a drop of a hat, I'll do an interview for him. There's so many guys that, but again, some guy out of nowhere, and I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying they don't know you that well, they never heard of you, so they're like, wait a minute, who's this guy? No, sorry, I don't know you. You got to build up that rapport. Then once you build up that rapport, then you'll be able to get those interviews,
So it's nothing personal.
Nah, it's nothing personal. You just don't want to think that you're, I'm sorry to say, but jock sniffer that you just taking these videos and you're not really putting them on the internet. That you just your jollies, and sometimes you got to be protected.
I understand, and like I said, it's uncensored. You can curse if you want to. And in a couple minutes, I'm gonna pass the show over to you, and this is your time after all. I hinted towards when I talked to Double J, Jeff Jarrett, that I kind of used some profanity, and I kind of said I fucking hate ECW. And let me just clarify what I mean by that. There are some parts of ECW I like. I like the freedom of speech, and that's how I came up with uncensored. Freedom of speech, freedom of self-expression. And I like to be different. You have the freedom to do whatever you want, say whatever you want. And it says, the part that I said I, fucking hate ECW is like every single match, there was someone getting lit on fire, going through the table, going through the ring, using the N-word, the F-word, the C-word. It's like over and over and over. And it's kind of like, what is this? This is not wrestling. Yes, you had great wrestlers like Rob Van Dam, Chris Candido, yourself, but you really need like a flaming table or use some profanity to get like a riot. Okay, once in a while it's great. You want to see something different, that's fine. But like every single match or every single week, it kind of like it gets to you after a while.
Well, but yeah, I understand what you mean. But the thing is that ECW, and I know what you're saying, but ECW was a revolution. Like I said, it was a revolution. They wanted to get out of the cookie cutter, wrestling. They wanted to be realistic. They knew the fans weren't stupid. So, I mean, think about it like this. Vince didn't like ECW in the beginning. Oh, it's trash wrestling and stuff like that. But look what happened with the Attitude Era. All that stuff that they did in the Attitude Era, and again, I'm not knocking it. I love the Attitude Era. But who influenced that? ECW. All the stuff that Vince was back in the days, hardcore is garbage. I will never do hardcore. What did they do? Hardcore title match. Tables, ladders, and chair matches, TLC matches. Just tons of stuff that just ECW influenced, from Tommy Dreamer, who revolutionized, the tables, and the Dudleys revolutionized the tables. All of a sudden, Vince comes out of nowhere making it seem like it was his idea. Oh, I'm going to do a TLC match, first time ever. Hell in a Cell. Those things are just all things that we did in ECW. I mean, regardless of the Hell in a Cell, I mean,
right.
That's a big thing. Or the Elimination Chamber. But it all stems from what ECW has done. They just build up on it because he has the money to build off it. But, excuse me. But the thing is that it's just, ECW was the nucleus of what wrestling was.
Right.
It is. And now all of a sudden they're doing everything, ROH, Next, all these companies are doing everything that ECW did. We gave birth to that. And I'm just saying, it's just, I understand what you're saying, the cursing, the XYZ, but we just wanted to make a statement. And that's what the statement was, that we were just not in control. We were beyond the normal.
No, I agree, Sue. Now, if I get up, walk around, I just have to let my cat out. But one of the questions I was going to ask you is, do you think, and I agree with you, ECW made a difference, but at the same time, do you think ECW hurt professional wrestling? Because like the Attitude Era, I wasn't a big Attitude Era person, but do you think because WWF started the hardcore wrestling and WCW started to copy it, do you think that because everyone was doing the same thing, do you think that started to make things go downhill?
No, not really. I mean, ECW gave the company life. When they were losing the Monday Night Wars to WCW, they needed something. They needed something different. They needed an edge. And it's just that even when WCW tried to do it, it wasn't even realistic enough for the fans to accept. They still try to make it cartoonish. When you put ECW, like, again, I'm not knocking them, I love them, but when Public Enemy was ECW, there was a mystique about them. But then when they went to WCW, no mystique. I don't know, maybe it was the environment, maybe it was the way they introduced them, But I don't think ECW did anything to not tarnish, but over too much. I don't think it was too much what we did. We had to make a difference. We had to get wrestling back to the fans, and that's what we did.
No, absolutely. And I was talking to this one guy. I won't mention his name, but he's a limo driver. But I won't mention names. But he told me that he knows a guy that knows a guy that somehow, and I want your honest opinion about this, that somehow knows where the wrestlers are staying, what airports they're taking. There's a difference for I don't mean to hesitate, I apologize. And I'll give you a perfect example. I'm a fan. And then, you give me respect, I give you respect. And then there's other people that take that to the next step. Like, how do you know where they're staying? How do you know what airports they're using? And now there's a difference between being a fan and being a stalker. And when you were on the road, do you ever meet the same people over and over, and you kind of think to yourself, how does this person know where I'm going to be or where I'm staying?
Well, again, I don't think it's from fan to stalker. I think there's fans, fanatics, then there's stalkers. There's guys who collect comic books, and there's guys who really collect everything of comic related. So it's the same thing. You got your fans that I love wrestling, it's awesome, I watch his Mondays. Then you got the fans like, oh my god, I know everything about the Kingpin Angel, the Dudleys, RVD, I know all their when they started. And then you got the fanatics that collects everything, that and then you got the stalkers. I never had any problems, and I appreciate that. There's a level, and I never saw stalkers. Again, I'm not saying me, I'm just saying from my experience. The fans that I've seen constantly, God bless them. They followed us. They knew things about us. They were things that people were saying that I liked, that I'm like, I didn't even know I liked it. Angel likes strawberries. Well, I don't, but it's just they went that extra mile to find out stuff about me.
Right.
But in wrestling, stalker-wise, from my experience, I never seen any one of the boys go, oh my god, he's fucking stalked, stalked by this rat, or I'm being stalked by this fan, or, it was just, we accepted everybody, the land of misfits, that's what we were, but there was no problems, there was no, so I never heard anybody, even in WWE or WCW, or anybody like, oh my god, I went home and I opened my door and there was this fan sitting in my living room, it just never happened in my world, but I'm just saying that, because to be honest with you, when you have a stalker, when you're gonna stalk like Bubba Ray Dudley, he's gonna kick your ass. You know what I mean? It's not compared to like celebrities, oh my god, he's attacking me, like David Letterman. He had the stalker. They're like, oh my god, call the police. If you stalk a wrestler and you show up at his house, you're gonna get your ass kicked. if you show up unexpected without permission, you're gonna get your ass kicked. Wrestlers are a different breed. So people know, like, man, I should not fuck with this dude or her, because for the female standpoint, I don't know. From Dawn Marie to Francine, I don't know about that stalker part. But when you deal with wrestlers like Rhino, me, DeVito, Big Vito, everybody there, Rob Price, I don't think you want to. You know what I mean? It's right. You want to get those guys mad. So I don't think we had problems with stalkers. We had fanatics, but we didn't have stalkers.
All right. Now I'm going to pass the show over to you. And actually, there's one funny story. I don't know if you heard this in the papers or on the news. It happened a while ago, but someone broke into LL Cool J's house. And he beat the shit out of the person. He basically sat on him until the cops came.
That's the thing.
Right.
LL Cool J, you don't hear that about, Steven Seagal. You don't hear about that Van Damme. You don't hear that about Donnie Yen. You don't want to go, you're going to get your ass kicked. Usually people who have stalkers, and again, I'm not saying they're just weak, but the only ones I always hear problems is like David Letterman, Jerry Seinfeld. Like, oh my God, Jerry Seinfeld got into a fisticuff with somebody. They just don't do that. You know what I mean?
I agree, Steve. Now, just one more wrestling question, then I can pass it over to you. Is how come you never went to the WWE, WWF during the invasion angle, and do you think you would ever go into TNA?
To be honest, it was never the right time to sign with WWE. I'm not saying they didn't offer me anything or I didn't pursue it. It's just that when things went south during the September 11th, and they already took whatever the guys they needed. You know what I mean? They already bought out WCW, and they only took the guys that they needed from the ECW, which was the Van Dams, Tommy Dreamer. The Baldies was not on that list. I mean, in my opinion, I'm not saying we are putting ourselves down. It's just I didn't see. They just didn't. I don't think they wanted us there at that time. And and TNA. I don't know, if TNA calls, I would go, but it's just, right now in my life, I'm not saying it's all about money, but it has to be a reason for me to go. I'm not the same guy as I used to be back then. Like, I would do anything for $75. It's just the point is that right now, I just got to be smart. If I travel, I got to pay for a hotel. I got to pay for a rental car. What are you paying me? Well, we only can pay you $250 a match. $50 a match, I rent a car, got a hotel, got to eat. Okay, how much are you really bringing home? So and that's the problem in wrestling today is that, all these guys who want to be pro wrestlers are just killing the business by doing shows for free, for $20, for $5, doing these crazy matches because they want to be noticed, and then they're going to go, well, why should I hire, Homicide, or why should I hire, RVD for, again, I know they're a draw, but it's still, sometimes those guys kill the business. And that's what causes our problems. We have bills to pay too, but again, leaving home, leaving work to do a show, and you're not really making money. I would do TNA. Don't get me wrong. I would do ROH, but it would be. And again, it's not an ego thing. I don't give a fuck. I'm at a point in my life. I don't have nothing to prove. They could kiss my ass. And I will tell them to kiss my ass, because the thing is that right now, I don't need them. I don't need them. I will work for them. I will do what they tell me to do. But and again, I'm not going to kiss nobody's ass because I don't need it anymore. I don't need to be, like, oh, if I be nice and maybe, if I finger this guy's ass, I'll get a spot as a heavyweight champion. No, I don't care, because it's just the point is I know what I've done in my career and I know what I have to offer. And I'm a commodity and I'm not there to kiss your ass. And if you don't want me, fuck you, because you're not using me now anyway, and you're not really helping me out either way, so I don't give a shit.
Now, while on the subject, for the invasion, that had a lot of potential, and they did pick a lot of good people, but at the same time, where was Bill Goldberg? It should have been like this: Goldberg, Sting, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, and the NWO versus Stone Cold, The Rock, The Undertaker and Kane, and Chris Jericho. But yet, where was Goldberg? Where was Hulk Hogan? Where were you? And it's kind of like you had this great opportunity, yet you took a dump on all these great talent, and you say you want to cater to Austin, you want to cater to The Rock, and that's fine. They were a big star at this time, but this is the start of a new era, new generation, and before the 10-year gap, this is the opportunity to get talent who are working their way up to the next step. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing is that Vince, again, I'm not Vince's buddy. I don't know what Vince thinks. It's just from my experience and learning from other boys. If it ain't Vince's idea, he ain't gonna go with it. And he wanted to kill the ECW brand. I mean, that's what it is, but it doesn't die. You know what I mean? He tried with the ECW thing. I mean, I remember when they tried to do the ECW show with CM Punk and all that. I mean, I was talking to Tommy in regards to trying to get on there. But when he told me he goes, Angel, I put you on the list, because there was a list. There was a list of guys that they said, Tommy, who do you think, would be good for ECW? And I was on it, DeVito was on it, Danny Dorn was on it, CW Anderson, I mean, all these guys were on it. But if you looked at it, there was no money involved. So I remember, if I remember correctly, it was $750 $750 you were going to get paid weekly. Okay, $750, and then he wanted you to dress nice. I'm not saying I dress like a bum, but this is during the time when the NBA started wearing suits.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, okay, you want us to dress nice? That's one. I got to buy clothes. Two, I got to pay for my hotel. Again, I got to rent my own car. $750 a week. How much am I really bringing home? Really?
Taking a guess, about 400.
Not even, because you're renting a car. You got to eat on the road. You know, you got to dress the part. You're gonna be looking like you're gonna be spending maybe I'll say you'd be coming home with $350 pocket. So really $350, you know what I mean? Pocket.
It's not worth it.
It's just not worth it.
That's true. Now I'm gonna pass the show over to you. Is there anything that motivates you? And that's a great picture, by the way, behind you.
Oh, my daughter?
Right. Is there anything that motivates you, anything that, you know, gets you fired up, pissed off? This is your time after all, so you can ask me anything you want.
I mean, nothing pisses me off. I mean, about the business? Well, I mean, the business is, you know, I mean, it is what it is, man. It's a dog-eat-dog world. I mean, you got to be tough, or if not, you're going to get eaten up. But the thing about it is that, I mean, it's true what my friends say, you know, like certain articles I read that, you know, how come minorities don't get pushed as well compared to the white race. I mean, look, I mean, again, I don't care, but, I mean, it shows fact. You know, I mean, the guys in, you know, New Day, great group, hell of a talent, you know, but why do you have to stereotype us? You know what I mean? Why is it that, why can't he can't be just Kofi Kingston? You know, why does it have to be, oh, I'm black, I'm going to be a Baptist minister. If I'm black, I'm going to be a rapper. If I'm black, you know, I got to like chicken and watermelon. You know, I mean, I'm Hispanic, I'm Puerto Rican, but, you know, it's just that he takes the ethnicity and tries to make it comical, really. And I don't think that, I mean, really, seriously, if you could look at your history of wrestling, name one besides WCW, I'm talking about WWE, you know, besides The Rock, name another black champion. I
would say. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. You have to think about it. But if I go name the greatest champion of all time, you can name The Rock. You can name Undertaker. You can name Stone Cold. You can name Triple H. You can name Chris Benoit. You can name Eddie Guerrero. You know what I mean? But see how like Eddie Guerrero had the title, great wrestler. Awesome. But he only had it for a short time. You know, everybody, and again, it's not, I'm not saying it's a white, black thing. It's just that I'm like, man, dude, you know, why don't you give a minority a push? You know, everybody who has the title is always a short run. Mark Henry, short run. You know, oh my God, what's his name? Bobby Lashley, he's still the champion, short run. The only one that had a long run is The Rock. You know, but anybody who won a title is this much time frame compared to, you know, Randy Orton and all that stuff. Oh, he's 12-time heavyweight champion. John Cena 16, 15-time champion. You know, and people will say, well, you just hating. No, I'm not hating. It's just it shows a point. You know, and ROH, I mean, at least the minorities are being treated equally. You know, it's not a gimmick. You know. TNA, kind of the same thing. Name one besides Bobby Lashley. Who else?
That's a good question, but
you know,
to be honest, they really don't. And I say this: if TNA really needs, I know this sounds racist, but they really need some big people. It doesn't matter if you get a big white person or a big black person. They need some heavy hitters, and I give you a perfect example of it. And I'm not racist, and no disrespect, but where's the next Mark Henry? Where's the next Bobby Lashley? Where's the next Ahman Johnson? Where's the next Harlem Heat? And these are great talents. And it doesn't matter if they're fat or if they're tall. Okay, where's the next Big Show? There's none of that. And like you're saying, besides Bobby Lashley, there's really no other black stars in the company that could. Well, actually, Jay Lethal was really good if they didn't fire him. Jay Lethal had a lot of potential, but there's really no one out there that can take it.
He's a hell of a talent in ROH. I mean, I still watch wrestling, and I think I'm a mark when I watch him there. He's really, again, he's Jay Lethal. He's not, Soul Brother Jay Lethal. He's not, I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. He's just a Jay Lethal. Yeah, he's black, but he's a hell of a wrestler, awesome wrestler. That's what I'm talking about. His talent, not a race. He's not tap dancing for the man. He's not, it's just, the business is weird and stuff like that. I just feel sometimes they don't feel that we can hold a title compared to a white wrestler, I guess. I don't know. But they might say, no, it's not that. Yeah, it is that. And stuff. But it's whatever. It's his company. He can do whatever he wants.
No, I agree with you. Look at Booker T, and Farouk, when they took a big chance on Ron Simmons, and they said, oh, it's either got to go up or it's either going to go down. Ron Simmons is one of the greatest wrestlers ever, and because he was a great professional wrestler and a great athlete, it went up. But then again, who else had it besides Ron Simmons? Exactly. You have to think about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is what it is. It's Vince's company, can do what he wants. White is right, whatever. It is what it is. Again, all people go, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. I'm not saying Vince is racist. I'm not saying that. It's just, I just don't see why he doesn't push this talent a little further. You know what I mean? It's a lot of hell of a talent. EC3, I'm not a big fan of his. I'm not saying, he's okay. But he was in WWE, and they didn't really use him to his full potential. Now some TNA's using him for the full potential. You know what I mean? It just depends on who it is, but he just doesn't give you an opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, perfect example. Who was it? Velvet Sky, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. They all came, I don't know if you know this, they got their start in WWF 2001, early 2002, and they didn't do anything. Then when they went to TNA, then they got the push. But Vince McMahon, I don't know, I'm not saying anything bad because I don't want him to not help me with my talk show or take this under consideration, so I'm not going to say anything bad, but I think he should think this a little more realistically. What's next? Like, John Cena, okay, you want John Cena to be next. Hulk Hogan, it's coming up on almost 15, going to be 20 years. It's been 10 years, and he's got to be around for the next 15, 20. Who's going to be the next champion? And God forbid Vince McMahon passes away. What, you're going to have it to Triple H and Stephanie? There's no competition. Like, a perfect example, WCW and WWF. They went head-to-head. And ECW, they went head-to-head. They had competitive matches. Regardless of the hardcore garbage or anything, there was competitive matches, great talent, great people. This now, you only have Ring of Honor, if that's great, but it's Ring of Honor versus TNA versus WWE, but WWE copies TNA and TNA copies WWE, and you're like, Eric Bischoff would never have done that. Vince McMahon would have never copied WCW. And it's kind of like, where's the competition?
You're right. Like I said, that's in the past. Right now, what it is that in this business, they need to get to next generation, and I think they need to use their talents more. Like I told you, they do have a hell of a roster, but they're not using some of the guys at their full potential. And that's what I'm saying, it just means everybody, I don't know, it's just weird, man. It's not a point that I'm like trying to prove this right, but it's just weird that, everybody that, look at, now I forgot his name, oh my God, Primetime Players. They're awesome. They're an awesome tag team, hell of a talent.
Yeah, they had a great push, and why did they pull the push away from them? Oh, because one of them's gay. And that's the next question I'm going to ask you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I don't think that's what it is, but go ahead anyway.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I would like to hear what you have to say on the subject.
No, I'm just saying that it's not that. I mean, regardless of who he's getting now, that doesn't have to do anything. He's still a hell of a talent. I'm just looking at it from a brother standpoint. Why are you not using that group to the full potential? Yeah, you can do comedies because we motherfuckers are funny. We're funny, but damn, we're talented too, and they're a hell of a talent. Give them an opportunity. They just don't give the people. I'm just saying the minorities a great opportunity.
Oh, sorry about that.
Cut me off.
That's Skype. But I agree with you said, it doesn't matter if you're white or black. If you're very talented, you should be given the opportunity. And look at it like this. There's, besides Yokozuna, well, he wasn't really Asian. What other big Asian stars that WCW and WCW and WWE pushed, or ECW? There was none.
Right. And that's the problem, I just don't understand why there are not any guys getting pushes and stuff. But you know what? Fuck it, man. It's his company. He can do what the fuck he wants. It just shows proof that, I'm not the only one that noticed these things, and the fans notice it. And I just think there's certain black wrestlers in WWE that should get an opportunity to showcase, the company. And that's just my opinion.
No, I agree with you. Now the next question I was gonna ask you, I'm gonna ask you two hard-hitting questions, and then we gotta wrap up. And the first one is, where do you stand on legalizing marijuana?
I don't smoke weed, so it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, that makes it easy.
To be honest, I don't care. I never seen anybody overdose. DeVito smoked a lot of weed, and he never OD'd. But that's just my opinion. I just don't. It's not a big deal because it's just weed. God put it on the earth. God put weed on earth for us. That's from Friday.
It's funny. I said that to CW Anderson. Now God grows it, so what's the problem?
Oh, so C.W. Anderson smokes weed? I didn't know that. I'm going to ask him that.
Well, I didn't say he smokes weed. I said I had the same question.
Yes, you did. You say he smokes weed. Don't deny it. All the fans out there know C.W. Anderson smokes weed. Now he's going to get piss tested at his job. Just because of you.
Now, the next question I was going to ask you is, where do you stand on... there's a lot of questions I can ask you, but the next one is the big thing going on in today's world. Where do you stand on gun rights?
Where do I stand on the gun rights?
Like, I'll give you a perfect example. I'm for the Second Amendment. And, you do have the right to kill in self-defense, and only in self-defense. Someone breaks into your house, if an animal breaks into your house, you have the right to defend yourself and your loved ones at any means necessary. That's it, period. Now, what on the other hand, I'm not saying is that you don't have a right to walk around with an AK-47 or whatever automatics. If you want a handgun, that's fine. But you have to be responsible for it. And most importantly, what I've been saying to people, it doesn't matter if they're mentally disturbed, if they're handicapped, if they're just a ticking time bomb, those people should be on a list. And I don't care if it's your right as the Second Amendment. If you're in danger to people around you and you're mentally disturbed or mentally fucked up, and you can use me for a perfect example, I would never buy a gun. I will buy a paintball gun, but I would never buy a normal gun. I hate guns, but like I said, if you're in danger to yourself and people around you, there should be at least some kind of common sense.
Yeah, I understand. But I mean, you have a right to defend yourself, but I mean, I carry a gun. I got a gun. I mean, I was a cop. I did all that stuff. So, but I don't really carry it. It's just you got your favorite teams and you got your teams that are there. But I don't know. Funny stories. I mean, I got tons of funny stories, but I mean, nothing that comes to the top of my head.
All right. Well, wrapping up. Do you have anything you want to say to your fans and listeners? Do you want to plug social media at all?
to be honest with you, I really appreciate all my fans. You know, I mean, as you know, I'm really happy they still remember the Baldies. I still appreciate the fact that, you know, they consider us one of the ECW originals. You know, and I'm still happy that I'm still continuing to wrestle, you know, for the fans. I know my time is running out. You know, I'm 43. How long do I have left to do? So I want to do more. You know, do I want to wrestle? And, I don't know. Because I don't want to be, I mean, the bottom line is, you know, I don't want to do it till I don't know, I just don't see myself, unless I'm ripped, chiseled, and jacked, and I look like ridiculously awesome. But to be honest with you, I would rather like do something more. I'd rather get into, you know, into the movie business, you know, and kick it up a next level. So, you know, maybe, you know, if any directors out there see that, you know, use me in one of the movies, I'd love to do that. And focus on my daughter, you know, I mean, you know, she's my world, and we're doing things together as a family, you know, doing judo together, spending time together. I mean, that's what it's all about right now.